Hello, good morning. Good morning. Good to see you all. My name is Lisa, and you're here for Human-Centered Design workshop today. So hope you all are in the right place. So we wanted to get started with just a couple housekeeping things. This session is being recorded. We have our camera in the back, just FYI. For the recording, we're going to ask if you want to raise your hand or have a question or a comment that you use a mic. We have a handheld mic here that's for the recording. We may be taking some photos, FYI. If you have any questions during the exercise, during the session, we have a board over there as like a question bank. If you want to write it on a Post-it and stick it up, we'll be reviewing them periodically in that question parking lot. Participation is really important. We're going to be engaging with you the whole time, super interactive, so we hope you'll be able to stay throughout and be fully present with us today. There's also sign-in sheets on the tables. We'd appreciate it if you sign in. We may send out the slides or the other resources after the meeting. Not every table has a sign-in sheet, so just look out for one on a neighboring table if you don't have one. So the goals of today, we hope you'll learn something, you'll have some fun, you'll meet someone new, you'll find out what human-centered design, or HCD, is if you don't know what it is already. We're going to practice some human-centered design techniques to think about how we can use it in our work, and we hope that maybe you'll incorporate some aspect of this into your work today. So our agenda, this is the opening. We'll do a little overview of what human-centered design is. We're going to do a simulation. It'll be like an hour, 75-minute simulation, start to finish. We'll give you some insight into what we're doing in the Office of Adolescent Health at HHS using human-centered design. We'll then take a break and we'll come back and we'll work on applying HCD to your work. And then we'll do review some resources in closing. So we'll turn it over to Jen right here to do our opening.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jen Farmer. You're going to learn about each of us here in just a minute, but I'm going to get us started with an activity. Can I first say I am highly impressed by how many people are here on a Saturday morning. I see you all are still drinking your coffee, but I'm hoping that one of my favorite exercises will actually help you feel a little bit more excited about today. So this is a co-creation exercise. Really helps set the stage for what you're going to participate in throughout the rest of the morning. This is definitely an opportunity to move beyond just yourself and engage with others. Very much a concept that applies to the human-centered design experience. So to get started, everybody has to find one partner, and I want you to stand up and face each other. Somebody you don't know, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's probably even more impactful for them. It doesn't matter either way. So. All right, so we're not really taking time for actual introductions. Okay, we are on a strict schedule today. So what we are going to do is just jump right into the activity. It's going to sound pretty challenging at first. All I want you to do is actually take turns going back and forth between each other, counting to 3. It would be like 1, 2, 3. Back and forth. Nope. Just repeat to 1. There we go. Good example of what you're about to experience. So just count to 1, 2, 3, and keep the process going. All right, go for it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause you there. I'm kind of surprised. I think we learned our 1, 2, 3s a long time ago. I hear some stumbling, but it sounds like you all kind of figured that out pretty fast. So good job. Now I want to challenge you a little bit more. Our 1 is going to be replaced with a snap. And then the number 2, then the number 3. So it will be 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pass that to you to try. All right. It's time. I hear lots of giggles. That's good. Okay, time to up the challenge. Okay, so we have a snap for 1. We're going to now replace the number 2 with a clap. So it's going to be 3. 3. Go for it. All right, we're going to pause again. Are y'all ready? We're about to take away all wording. So now we're keeping our 1 as a snap. We're keeping our 2 as a clap. We're going to make that number 3 a leg slap. Okay? All right, go for it. All right. I have one more request. I love the amount of energy in this room. It makes me very excited and a little nervous about later on. We're going to have a lot of activity going on. Okay, final challenge. We're going to go back to 1, 2, 3, just with your words. Now try it. Okay, that concludes our activity. If you can take a seat. Give yourself a round of applause. That was slightly complicated. I just wanted to quickly ask, do we have one brave person that wants to give a super short statement and feedback, what you experienced in that exercise?
Raise your hand. Where are you?
Any insight into why that is?
I think it has something to do with our brains and science.
That sounds very smart, yes. So at the beginning, I just referenced that this was a co-creation exercise and that this really is applicable to what we're going to be doing the rest of today. But what you all really had to do in order to make that process work was listen to each other and not act on your own assumptions. It's really simple to think that that process of just counting to 3 is easy because we know how to do it. But when working with others to make it happen, you really have to work with them in order to see the results take place the way that you wanted them to. So keep that in mind as we progress throughout the day. And now we're going to transition to introductions.
Yes.
Hey, Eliana, do you want to start off?
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Eliana White, and I'm from AMCHP, and I'm going to go ahead and get a chance for you guys to know a little bit more about us as presenters. And then also you'll have a chance to get to know a little bit more about the people around your table, as well as in this entire group. So let's see. I think one thing I want to mention is that, today I'm feeling like a sea lion. And I'd like you to demonstrate with me. Sounds good? Okay.
All right, so we're all going to become sea lions because Ileana's feeling like a sea lion. All right, that's nice.
And I'm feeling like a sea lion because I just feel like it's going to be a nice, smooth, flowing day. And I don't have a care in the world, and I want to be underwater and just feel free. How's that sound? All right. So Nicole, good morning.
Good morning, Ileana.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, so I wanted to know, what astronomical body are you feeling like today?
Well, I am feeling a little bit like Saturn, because sometimes my thoughts are like really far out there, but then like I'm feeling like orbited by colorful sort of a belt line of like colorful stickies and materials, and so I'm just gonna, this is kind of how I feel like. So if everyone could stand up and become Saturn. Woo! All right, thank you. Go ahead and sit down. My name is Nicole Bennett. I'm a project officer at the Office of Adolescent Health. I am very obsessed with human-centered design and how it can apply to the public health space, and I'm very excited to be here today with all of you. Hi, Jen. How are you? Great. Well, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and also what astronomical body you feel like today?
Yes, Nicole, I can. I feel like a black hole. That sounds kind of dark, but that's not where I'm going. The reason I feel like a black hole is I'm hoping to suck you all in to our passion for human-centered design. Right? So I'm not exactly sure what a black hole looks like, but I'm going to pretend I do. Yeah, this like massive sucking in motion. So, yeah. I hope you're prepared because it's going to be intense. So again, my name is Jen Farmer. I actually serve as the ITP3 program director. You're going to learn a little bit more about ITP3 here in a minute. But that is a project funded by the Office of Adolescent Health, and it takes place at Texas A&M University. So welcome to Texas. Oh, I forgot to ask the important question. I got distracted. Lisa, I heard you feel like an animal today. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and that animal?
So I'm Lisa Zingman. I work in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in the Office of Adolescent Health. And I'm feeling like a monkey because I'm feeling pretty energetic, so ooh. Yeah. All right. That's thanks, and I'm turning it back over to Nicole.
All right, so thank you for hearing a little bit about us. And now if you could just take a moment and just quickly introduce yourself to your table and just real quick name, organization, just so you know who's sort of sitting around you real fast. So go ahead. All right, I know that was real fast, so go ahead and wrap it up. I will say that this whole day, this whole half day, you're going to feel very time pressured because we have lots to get through, and then some of the activities are going to be timed. I'm going to ask the audience just a few questions, but I'll also ask you to think of a question you might want to ask the audience too, okay? So go ahead and raise your hand if you're an OAH grantee or have been funded by OAH. I'm just curious. All right, okay, cool. All right, hello. Raise your hand if you are from Texas. Raise your hand. All right, welcome Texas neighbors. Okay, cool. Raise your hand if you traveled from the West Coast. All right, that's where I'm from. All right, cool. Raise your hand if you traveled from the East Coast. Okay. Raise your hand if you traveled from the South. All right. Raise your hand if you traveled from the Midwest. All right. Raise your hand if there's another section of the country that I did not get. Yes. Northwest. Southwest. Thank you. And would anyone else like to ask the audience a question to find out anything about? How many what? How many family representatives do we have? Raise your hand. All right, one. Okay, thank you for letting us learn a little bit more about you. And I'm going to turn it over to Ileana to run a poll where we have a couple more questions too.
Okay. Thanks, Nicole. And so we found out a little bit more about, you found out a little bit more about who is at your table, and there's some familiar faces, but we want to know a little bit more about the work that you do in maternal and child health, and it's going to kind of set the stage for how you're going to be thinking about throughout some of the activities today. And we also want to know who's here and present, so we're going to start a virtual poll on the next slide, in which you're going to need to get out your phones, if you're not already glued to them already. Get out your laptops or whatever other device you use to log on to the internet. And we're going to ask you a few questions. So we want you to tell us first, who's in the room? Who are you? What's your first name? If you want to include a nickname, you're more than welcome to. Where you're coming from, so the state or the jurisdictions, because we do have territories represented in our work. And also, which population would you say that you work most closely with in maternal and child health? Whether it's women's health, adolescents, children with special health care needs, or if you're like kind of across the board, cross-cutting around systems building. So try to find like which of those domains do you most identify with in your current work, okay? So those are the questions we're about to ask you. And if there are like two of you from the same program, if you want to tag team and just send up one response, that's perfectly fine, because I think after a certain number of responses, the poll is not going to accept any more. So just get prepared. Do you want to show them how? Oops. Yeah, I was going to do that. All right, so this is the instructions. So I want you to get oriented with the instructions, and I want you to help your neighbor, because this always tends to happen. There's 2 ways to respond. You can go to this website. So you can either log on to this website, or you can text my first name, last name, 487, to 22333 in order to join the poll. And then you're going to be able to text your response once it goes live, okay? So those are the 2 options. So take a few seconds. If you're on your laptop, maybe the link is a little bit easier but if you're on your phone, go ahead and use the text function as well. So it's Eliana White, I-L-I-A-N-A, White, 487, and the phone number is 22333, so that way you can join the poll. And then after that, you should be able to respond to the poll by texting to that same number. And please help each other out if you see anyone struggling or looking a little bit dazed. Sound good? Are we ready to go live? All right.
All right, so what we'd love for you to do instead, because we're going to build on this let's see, mouse, there we go. There we go. What we'd love for you to do instead is take a piece of sticky note, take a pen, a Sharpie, a marker, and just write which population you work closely with. So those just pick one of those 6 populations and just leave it on your table. And we're going to collect that from you all, okay? So that would be really helpful to guide some of our activities in the latter half of our session today. Oh, no. Oh, I was going to ask. Do you want all of it? I don't know what she was going to ask. If this is it, that's good. Okay, great. Thank you. The low-tech version. All right. Okay, so we're going to get into some of what human-centered design is. And it's going to be important for folks to have one of the packets that has a lot of text on the front. It looks a little bit like this. And just turn it around so you're on the back side where there's nothing on it, okay? Where there's nothing on it. Make sure you have one of these packets. Turn it to the back side where there's nothing on it. One of these packets, back side. And I just want you to take a moment. You can work with a partner if you'd like. Just write down everything you know about human-centered design so far. Just write down everything you know, and it's okay if it's nothing. You know a little bit about it because we've been integrating some stuff through the opening activity, but just go ahead, write stuff down on the back of your piece of paper. And we're going to be using this back for a couple of things throughout. All right. Go ahead and wrap on up. And what we're hoping to do is to add to this list, clarify this list for you all. So show of hands, who has has heard of human-centered design? Who's heard of human-centered design? Just raise your hand if you've heard of it. And who has never really heard of it or know about it before? Okay, cool. And who has practiced human-centered design before? Who's actually practiced it? Okay, great. And does anyone feel like pretty comfortable, like we get it, like I'm just like kind of looking to, learn how to facilitate a training or things like that, like wanting to, like kind of feeling like they really, really get human-centered design? Okay. All right, great. So human-centered design can be referred to as a lot of different things. So you might have heard design thinking, user-centered design, civic design, service design isn't out there, youth-centered design, accelerated evidence-based, co-design. And the best way to learn about what human-centered design is to do it. And so that's where we're gonna go. We can give you some definitions, we can talk about it, but really the best way to understand it is to do it. And I will say it is similar to public health. It's similar to a lot of what we do. It's just a different codified way that comes from a different field that can really add to our toolbox, right? As another method to help us get closer to sort of meeting user needs. When I was in grad school, I didn't know anything about human-centered design. I've learned about it over the past 4 to 5 years through some of our project at OAH, through work with Jen and others. And I did a process evaluation to look at an intervention to work with CSAC, commercial sexually exploited children. And I did this process evaluation. And that was an okay method, but really, if I had known about human-centered design, I would have picked sort of that method. And so again, it's just another tool in the toolbox. You might have heard of community participatory action research, and a lot of people see some similar methods in human-centered design, and you will. And I will say it's for community participatory action research, the end goal is different. In human-centered design, we're looking at designing services, products, programs, which we do all the time in public health. With community participatory action research, usually the end goal is research and learning. And so, yeah. All right. Why? Well, human-centered design helps get us to really meet a true need. It's sort of this intersection of desirability, viability, and feasibility. And usually when we use these methods, it gets at these things and makes our services, programs, products more relevant to human needs. So the Lancet Commission even said we must develop processes that engage adolescents in the design and implementation of programs and policies that affect them and their peers. We work in the adolescent health space, but you all have other end users. Maybe they're adolescents, and so the point being engaging your users. And so your users might be adolescents, but they might be parents. We have grantees, so our users are our grantees. And so thinking about who your users are, and we often do stakeholder mapping, right? And so that's a great tool that's also used in human-centered design to learn who your users are. So it is both a process, and there's lots of different ways to think about the process. This is one way, and we're gonna use it in the activity. And the process is about empathizing. It's about then defining and then ideating. So we often just jump into brainstorming and ideating and thinking about solutions when we don't even know the problem. And so there's a lot of work before to then jump off. And then there's a prototyping and a testing and a learning, continual feedback loops. And this is just one model. And we'll show you some others after we do the activity. However, human-centered design is also a mindset. All right, so you use certain mindsets throughout the process. Jen brought up one earlier in the opening about co-creating, and it's not on here, but co-creating is definitely one of them. And sort of embracing ambiguity, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, learning from failure. So I want you all, again, on the back of your packet, to pick one of these or one of the mindsets you think are part of human-centered design and just write it down on the back of your packet. So pick one of these: empathy, optimism, embracing ambiguity, making it, learning from failure, iterating, or some creative confidence. and just write it down on the back of your packet. And then go ahead and think of an animal that relates to and make, I'm just kidding, don't do that. All right, so we have process and mindsets. So, it is now your turn. So this is going to be fun, all right? And you are all going to do some hard work. And we are going to do a simulation, and it's the gift-giving exercise. And that's what you all have in front of you. So stay on that first page. Don't worry about like turning pages, but just make sure you have your packet. And I just, excuse me, want to give you a little background on the gift-giving exercise. It's from the D School, which created the model that you saw that I showed earlier at Stanford University. And it's open source. It's available. You can even run this yourself. And it is a great simulation because it's about something that's sort of neutral, gift giving. We all can be end users in gift giving. And it might not be the most exciting design challenge, like, you know, redesigning the gift-giving experience for your partner, but it's going to hopefully be really helpful to illuminate how human-centered design works. And we're going to do like a 1-hour simulation where we're going to be timing you, and then you're going to be switching, and it's going to feel fast and rushed, but it's going to be great, and you're going to learn a lot from it. Don't worry about having anything be perfect. Just kind of trust the process. Okay, so we are going to need you to pick a partner, just one person, and have it be someone you don't know, okay? So ready, go. Find a new partner, someone that you haven't worked with yet today. Get settled, find a little corner. So ready, go. A new partner and someone you don't know. Does everyone have something to write with? Now, with your partner, decide who's going to be partner A and who's going to be partner B. Okay, doesn't matter, partner A, partner B. All right. So I'm just going to grab this over here. Okay. All right. Now, throughout this process, you might feel a little grumpy. All right? You might feel like a grumpy cat. Or you might feel panicked and just want to like leave. But don't. A lot of Seal references today. Who knew? Really, you know, work with your partner, and you will feel things, okay? But it's going to be great. I promise you. Okay, so we're gonna jump in. So the design challenge is to redesign the gift-giving experience for your partner. Okay, so you're not designing a gift for your partner, but you're redesigning their gift-giving experience, which could be a gift in the future, a gift in the past, something overall, something specific. So you're looking at the experience, you're not designing a gift, okay? And to do that, we're gonna use some human-centered design processes and techniques, okay? All right, so partner A is going to interview partner B, all right? And you're going to listen and take notes. So open your packet and you'll see number 1, all right? This is step number 1. Partner A interviews partner B. And again, take notes, listen, ask some questions. When was the last time you gave a gift, et cetera, et cetera? What gift giving do you have coming up? Listen, be curious, and record, all right? So you have about 4 minutes. Partner A interviews partner B. Ready, go. right, start to wrap it up. Partner A and partner B, start to wrap it on up. All right, don't worry, you will have a chance to revisit this. Okay, now switch. Partner B, you are going to interview partner A for 4 minutes. Get really curious, okay? So you're just gonna switch and interview partner A about gift giving. Ready, go. All right, start to wrap it up. And we are going to move on to step number 2, which is very similar. You're gonna go back to partner A interviewing partner B, but dig deeper. You are explorers. You are getting really curious and ask why. Get really curious. Ask why multiple times, okay? And don't forget to record because you're going to be coming back to this. And definitely look for emotions and stories, okay? So ready, go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. And partner B now gets to interview partner A again. Get curious, ask why, look for stories, emotions, challenges, and ready, go. All right, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start to wrap it on up. Okay. Very good, very good. So we're going to move to step 3. All right, so you're gonna want your information from steps 1 and 2. You could pull the page off if you want, or just kind of flip back and forth. And you are going to get 3 minutes to individually capture your findings. So you're thinking about your partner's goals and wishes and needs, okay? So, really thinking about both physical and emotional needs, past needs, future needs. Write those things down. And then separate from that, think about insights, discoveries, things that you learned, things that are sort of like punchy and interesting, any insights that you discovered through your interview for your partner. So this is individual work, and you're using your information from parts 1 and 2 in your conversation, and some of you are just intuition, all right? So 3 minutes. Start to wrap this part up. All right, there you go, official buzzer. And we are going to move on to just the next side of your page to step 4. And this is really important because this is going to be your launching off point. So you are going to take a point of view here. Take a stand and pick so this is really what you're going to iterate off of and create solutions for. So this isn't really important. And so pick the most compelling goal or need, and then pick a sort of matching insight, okay? And you're gonna fill in this little template. And again, this is going to be sort of the challenge that you take on for your partner, your design challenge. Make sure that it's actionable and that you could address it with some design, okay? So pick a really compelling goal or need, and then an insight that sort of matches that. You have 2 minutes. All right. So again, you're looking for a challenge, a need, and then a matching insight for that. All right, we are going to move on to the next step. So this is, like I said, this is a really, really critical step, and it is definitely one of the hardest right here. A lot of times you'll hear about like how might we's in human-centered design, and we're going to be doing some how might we's. And so this part it's hard because you're distilling all the information that you heard to try to find the sort of the crux of a problem or of an opportunity to really get at the user's need. And like I said at the beginning, this might not be the perfect simulation because we don't all have needs around the gift-giving experience, but to look for those opportunities and maybe needs that your partner didn't even know that they had. So kind of to dig underneath and to learn about those needs, and then looking to sort of match, well, like the why. Like, why is this a need? Those insights. So this is really hard, but really, really important. And so it's okay if you don't have the perfect statement. Again, don't worry about, because you're going to actually have an opportunity to revisit it, like right now. So we are going to move on, and we can come back to this. We will come back to it. Okay, so use what you wrote, move it to page 5, okay? Rewrite it as a statement, okay? And that's gonna be at the top. So page or step 5, rewrite it from that formula in your own words if you want, as an opportunity for design. And then you're going to sketch or write 5 different ways to meet this need, okay? And you're gonna go for volume. Don't worry about quality right now. Think of radical ways to meet this need. Could be crazy, like, outer space ideas. And go for volume. Try to get all 5, if not more than 5, okay? So, ready, go. You got it. So again, go for volume. Try to be visual. Try to draw with your words. And you're designing for your partner and not necessarily a gift. The experience and, thinking wildly, not evaluating your ideas. Just kind of, and really try to draw with your words. Or have no words and just draw, okay? Be visual, be visual. Okay, go ahead, wrap on up. Now, very exciting, you get to go back to your user. Conveniently, for most of you, your user is right next to you, okay? So, what you're going to do is, and this is really challenging because we want to explain all of our ideas, right? But you're gonna use this time to get feedback from your user on these ideas, okay? So balance your time, because you don't have a lot, on presenting your ideas, and that's why the visual is good, just kind of nuggets, and then get their reactions, get their feedback, and take notes on what your partner likes, doesn't like. Is it meeting their need, okay? So partner A is gonna get feedback from partner B, okay? And you have 3.5 minutes for this, all right? You got it. All right, wrap it on up. Partner B is now going to get feedback from partner A, capture likes, dislikes, new learnings in step 6. Partner B interviews partner A to get feedback on their proposed design. So again, balance sharing with listening. And we are going to move to step 7. So, this is coming back to individual work. And you are going to, if you want to draw a line right at the top right of your page, you can rewrite your problem statement if you need to, okay? Because some of your problems or opportunities for design might have changed. You're going to use all of the feedback that you gathered. Take a moment to consider what you've learned from the partner and sort of your proposed solutions. And from this understanding, sketch a new idea, okay? And generate a new solution that could combine or build from what you did in the previous steps, okay? So go ahead and do that. Just a couple minutes to do that. Individual work, you got it. Think details, draw, get visual. Start to wrap this up, but don't worry because we're going to build from this into our next activity where you're going to be making things. So you can move over to the next page for number 8. But you're going to use number 7, and you are actually going to be making something. Okay, so this is a very exciting time. It doesn't have to be perfect. Think just like a representation, and you're gonna make it. It could be with the pipe cleaners and the sticky notes. You have tape. It could be with the construction paper. It could be a skit. It could be something that you're actually doing and interacting. But you're going to take what's on your paper and you're gonna give it life. Okay? Give that piece of paper life, and don't worry too much about what it looks like, because it's a representation to learn and get more feedback, okay? So you have just 4 minutes to do this, okay? So you're gonna make something with supplies, with your own ingenuity, be scrappy, be quick, and don't worry, ready, go. Let's go. You got it. You're gonna make something. You can get up. All right. So go ahead and wrap up, and don't worry. Do not worry. Scrappy and quick, because you are going to move to step 9, and you're going to use your prototype to get feedback from your partner, okay? You're gonna ask your partner, interact with the prototype, and then you're going to kind of fill this out. What worked, what could be improved. Listen to your partner, make notes, and you have just 2 or 3 minutes to do this. So partner A, get feedback, kind of show them, but then listen to what they have to say. So partner A with partner B. Ready, go. All right, ready, go ahead and stop. Don't forget to jot down notes. What worked, new ideas, what could be improved, and we're gonna go ahead and switch. So partner B is going to get feedback from partner A. So go ahead and switch. Balance sharing with listening. All right, so first off, that was a lot of work. So give yourselves a big round of applause, all right? Because you just zoomed through the process, okay? And it is hard work. I remember doing this at an HHS Ignite project a couple of years ago, and just was like, what's happening? Which is why I feel like I know some of the emotions that come up with this, but human-centered design is really hard work, and the process is really hard work. And I had a coach who just kept being like, just trust the process, trust the process. And the process feels uncomfortable because it is uncomfortable. And so I'm sorry for making you feel uncomfortable if you did. But if you did, that's a good sign, because this is really hard work. So again, very good job. A couple things. One, go ahead and flip again to the back of that packet that you had, okay? And take a look at your mindset and just ruminate. Did you use this mindset that you wrote down that you wanted to use? Just sort of like temperature check, raise your hand if you used the mindset that you wrote down. Did you use that mindset? A little bit. And then raise your hand if you did not use the mindset. Okay, just be honest. Okay, cool. All right, cool. That's okay. On that back piece of paper, just write down what was the most challenge, just take notes for yourself. What was the most challenging part of the process for you? Just go to take a note down. And then when you're done, just write down what your favorite part of the process was, if anything. And then last one, just write, how did sort of talking or interacting with your partner inform what you designed? How did they inform what you designed? All right. And now I want you to think about, did anyone, by a show of hands, have a thing that their partner made for them that they really liked, that really met a need? Like it actually really kind of worked? All right. Okay, cool. Okay. Would anyone like to share about that? Like what their partner made and how that went for them? Who would like to share? Okay, that's a better question. There we go.
So my partner made this cute design. And it's so funny. I always thought I was a loner, but she helped me see that I really love to connect with people, and this is showing my team connected.
All right. Who else would like to share? And let's also hear from you, and then also from your partner, too.
Hello. William made this lovely book for me. We talked a lot about how I enjoy giving books and why I want to give them. So this little book that he made are tips for giving from the heart, the book. And so I really, really, really liked it, and it resonated with me and just my approach and everything we talked about. He summed it up in this really cute book. Oh, not me. Oh, I thought you were going next. Okay, my bad.
And then could you share a little bit about what you sort of used and how you ended up making that for her? Just like some of the things that you learned that informed your design.
I think it was based on a lot of the things when we talked about some of her characteristics for gift giving. It was based on something that she learned, a personal growth experience, and her need to share with other people. And so it was just easy to sort of wrap it up in that.
Thank you. Did anyone really pivot, like started somewhere but then went somewhere totally different in their design? It's okay if not. Anyone? Okay. And then who found this? Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Okay. and then who just found this really hard and just didn't connect with them at all? It was really challenging. You just do a show of hands, and that's totally okay too. Okay. So this relates to human-centered design in a lot of different ways. we went from a lot of information to picking one jumping off point to then having lots of ideas and then just having one idea. And so there's sort of like a nice ebb and flow in the design process. And technical terms, converging, diverging, right, thinking and doing. So that's one really important part of the process. Another is showing, not telling. So really showing someone something and not telling them. Another thing is really experimenting and being uncomfortable with the ambiguity and always being willing to sort of shift and iterate. And just really the power of iteration and learning and tweaking, So this exercise was to give you a taste of the process. It's a neutral-ish topic because we all come in with our own biases and wanting to really let you experience the process as sort of, a user in the human-centered design process space. So we are going to take a break because you have definitely deserved it. And when we come back, so just 3 to 5 minutes, and when we come back, we're going to do a little bit of application. So we're going to talk a little bit more, but then we're going to do some application to MCH, okay, using HCD processes. All right, so we'll be back in 10:45. All right, we are going to come on back to reconvene just for a few moments before we go into more activities and application into MCH. So I do just want to mention the different processes which can become resources for you in human-centered design. So you're all familiar with this one now because I showed it at the beginning. This comes from the Stanford D School. There's also something called the double diamond. There's also something from IDEO where you see the ebbing and the flowing, okay? There's also a model from the Darden Business School. What is, what if, what wows, what works. And the last one I'll show you is that there's something from the Luma Institute. These are all different human-centered design resources and models that sort of help follow that process. Like I said, it's a process and it's a mindset. The Luma Institute is something that we have 2 books, actually, that are called Innovating for People that follow the Luma model and come from Luma. And so we have those as resources up at the front if anyone wants to take a look. And I do just want to say, just be careful. Just like when you're learning a recipe, it's nice to follow the recipe, but then you learn that, well, maybe it needs a little bit more salt or a lot of cumin, if you're me, because I love cumin. And so we're giving you this in a linear way. Some of the models you can kind of take bits and pieces, and so really it's not always linear, and you're gonna jump in at different points based off of your needs and your project. And so just want a word of caution. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa to just share a couple of examples at OAH. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. So just wanted to share a little bit about our office and kind of how we're applying this, just to give you some ideas, examples. We're in the Department of Health and Human Services, the federal government. We're in the Office of Adolescent Health. Our mission, leading the nation to ensure America's adolescents thrive and become healthy and productive adults. We do that in 5 ways, including we have a couple grant programs. We run the National Teen Pregnancy Prevention Program, Pregnancy Assistance Fund program for expectant and parenting teens. And we also have a broader mandate around coordinating adolescent health for Health and Human Services. So a few ways we're using human-centered design in our work. We're doing some youth listening sessions with our grantees in which we've been really trying to hear from the youth that are being served in the Teen Pregnancy Prevention Program to help inform those programs and initiatives. We have an internal website called max.gov that's being used by our grantees as a collaboration space. Used to look like this. We went, and it was really hard to find anything, to use. And so we went through a human-centered design process in order to improve it, and it now looks much more user-friendly and looks like this. We also did a series of workshops last summer in which we explored the complicated process around integrated approaches to adolescent health. So we really brought together a group of experts, users from national nonprofits and people who work directly with youth in order to explore this issue of integrated approaches. And so we explored some areas including access to healthcare, and violence and trauma, and criminal justice. And the group came up with a few different ideas, prototypes, one involving called youth-powered health, really looking at using youth input in every aspect of their health. And so we used what's called a concept poster here to like you all did earlier, to explore possible solutions. We do have a brief on if you want to learn more. There's like 1 or 2 copies on each table. It's also on our website, on our HHS Office of Adolescent Health website. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to let us know afterwards. In addition, the Teen Pregnancy Prevention Program is a large national program in which we fund grants that are evidence-based programs, rigorous evaluation programs, and we also have 2 grantees doing what we call early innovation. And this, we fund 2 intermediaries to serve as accelerators for program development using human-centered design and systems thinking. So we funded 2 organizations to create these accelerator programs, one of which is Texas A&M. So Jen here is from that grantee. So just wanted to give you a little bit of insight into what those grantees are doing. One of them is Power to Decide, the national campaign to prevent teen pregnancy. They are partnered with IDEO, which is a design firm, and they're supporting technology-based innovations to prevent teen pregnancy. So to date, they've supported 3 cohorts across 2 phases. And they've used the human-centered design process with these innovators to come up with possible prototype solutions, and they've come up with actually a couple apps, or that they've one of which is an emerging project, which is designed by Hispanic parents for Hispanic parents. It's run by a team out of Westat, and it's a weekly text messaging service that provides Latino parents with tips, skills, and resources for talking about sensitive topics. It's built on a platform that was already in use by Hispanic parents previously. Another one is called Real Talk. You can find it in the App Store from a team at My Health Ed. And it uses real stories by real teens to convey relevant and credible information about the issues that teens go through growing up. And the stories cover topics such as healthy relationships, bullying, and online safety. And so now I'll turn it over to Jen to do a quick overview of the other. Are you showing the video? Yeah, okay. I think it'd be helpful. Okay.
All right. Welcome, everybody, again. So I just quickly wanted to tell you a little bit more about the ITP3 project. I think that this will be helpful as we move into the next application activity. So our team, as Lisa mentioned before, we are one of the 2 national grantees that are funded to support and enable innovation within the field of teen pregnancy prevention. And we really have harnessed the power of both human-centered design as well as systems thinking to try to transform the future of teen pregnancy prevention just really by broadening our approach. Traditional programming really follows a similar format in which a facilitator uses a curriculum to provide youth with knowledge and skills needed to reduce their risk of pregnancy, which is awesome, but it also leaves the door wide open for a variety of other approaches to prevention. So I could spend forever talking about this, so if you have any questions, find me later. I just wanted to play a super short video that emphasizes that systems approach, and I think that you will find this helpful as you think through later activities. So let me press play. Fingers crossed this works. this explains the purpose of our project. Hopefully it works in a nutshell. Okay, so while it's going, I will quickly tell you as well what the content that will be on the next slide. Since our project began in 2015, we've actually had an opportunity to work with 24 different innovation teams across the U.S., ranging from a variety of different organizations, from really small nonprofits to local health departments, all the way to large federally qualified health centers and large children's hospitals. The reason that's important to emphasize is that they've been able to apply these techniques regardless of their organizational size, as long as we've been able to provide that guidance in the form of capacity building assistance to teach them more about human-centered design as well as systems thinking. Okay, so I'm going to officially give up on our video, but how do I switch to the next one then? Just click on this one.
They're both 17,
Okay,
in high school, and live in neighboring communities. Although similar in many ways, teens in Erica's hometown are more likely to become pregnant. But why? Because where you live is more than just your address. It's about the larger systems in place that support adolescent health and success. Ashley's hometown has lots of well-paying jobs, access to affordable health care, including contraceptive services, supportive adult role models, and schools with coordinated health policies and practices.
That was just a tease. You're going to have to head to our website to watch the full video. But the point it's trying to make is that there are many factors to consider beyond the individual, and that's really what we've been trying to help our innovation teams recognize and embrace and consider as they create new programming to benefit as you can see, a broad range of individuals. This is, quite the list of youth, but the actual innovators that we are working with have created programming to meet the individual needs of each of these populations. And the reason I wanted to share that, is, again, going back to the overall purpose of our workshop today, really focusing on the end user and having their buy-in and feedback from the very beginning of the program development process. They've been able to play a vital role in shaping what these programs are actually, what they look like and how they function. And just to show you really quick, also on our website you can learn more about the programming that's been created. We have animated videos similar to ours for the majority of our projects, but as well as concept posters. And this is good exposure just to think about all the different areas within a system around these individuals that you could consider for impacting change. So I just have one example up here for a project called Wahine Talk. It was created by Waikiki Health, a federally qualified health center in Hawaii that is focused on homeless and runaway youth, but they really are trying to create change at a systems level by going beyond just what the individual needs with knowledge and skills. And being able to provide supportive services in addition in a variety of ways for medical as well as just their personal needs. So rather than spending too much time on this, last slide, head to our website, of course, to learn more about each of those projects. But we are pulling together all of our innovators from both ITP3 as well as Innovation Next, and inviting the public in May, right back here in San Antonio, to learn more about the process of innovation. We're going to have a series of workshops and presenters focused on human-centered design as well as systems thinking, and also a platform for our innovators to share their program development experience. And as you can see from this variety of pictures here, they've really been engaged in the same activities that you all have been this morning. Okay, so we are going to continue on, right? We're going to skip over this next slide because you already took your break. Right, okay. So now is a chance for you to actually apply some of the activities to your work. This might help have a little bit more context and meaning. Yeah, we can go ahead and add this to the table. What we're going to do actually is have you all move to a new table, possibly. We're putting table toppers up right now for different groups. And what we want for you all to do is look for the table topper that best identifies with the MCH area that you work within.
And I don't know if you all can hear me, but this was related back to the icebreaker quiz. We wanted to know which domain you work most closely with, and we wanted to make sure that we had a balance of participants. And which thing you'll notice is that you'll have 2 signs for women and maternal health, because based on your responses, we have a large contingency from that domain. And in addition, the cross-cutting and the systems building yielded a lot of participants as well. So you'll have the opportunity to go to one of 2 tables devoted to that population domain or that MCH domain.
So it looks like we have the majority of our table toppers up. If you all can go ahead and find the table that best meets, that you best identify with, ask you to go ahead and move. It doesn't matter. It's up to you all if you want to take your stuff. You will be at that, this table you're moving at for the rest of the workshop. So. Well, please let us know if there's not enough space, like if we need to create another table topper. We have 2 tables at the very front for women and maternal health. Sorry, I was asking this back up. Okay, it looks like everybody has found a table. Does everybody have a table topper? I think that their table in the back. Do y'all have a table topper? Y'all at the very back? You do. Oh, you have a table topper, but not a sign. Oh, you've closed the table. I see. Okay. All right.
It's the adolescent health people, of course.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Just like the exercise that you all went through earlier with gift giving, this is definitely a snapshot, a quick experience for human-centered design. So keep that in mind as we go through a few activities. I just wanted to highlight a few things before we jump in. First, and Nicole has kind of captured some of this already, but really the purpose of participating in these activities today is to help you feel more comfortable in just exploring and considering the human-centered design process later on. We want you to feel comfortable with idea generation, thinking about things differently, and coming up with ideas, but also feeling comfortable getting rid of ideas, which is one of the most challenging things to do. So I'm going to be asking you to think a lot today and also throw a whole bunch of stuff away. There is also something that well, let's go. I'm going to recapture a few thoughts whenever we move on to a different activity here. But to jump in, we are going to begin with something called How Might We? Or statement starters. And this actually is an activity for you all to explore problems or challenges within your field. So we're going to guide you through activities to explore that problem or solution, but step number 1 is going to be picking a how might we statement. So I'm going to pass it over to Ileana to actually tell you a little bit more about your options.
Hi, good. Is it still morning? I think it's still morning. So one of the things we wanted to do is think about, there's a lot of different challenges and issues that affect each of your domains. And so we wanted to think about, okay, if we're looking for a solution, if we're looking for something to alleviate that burden of disease or that chronic condition or just improve quality of care, what is it that we could possibly do? Or think about what affects that experience of the end user, because again, we're thinking about human-centered design. And so what we did for each of the domains is we've looked at what are some of your current challenges, and we developed some statements around some of those pressing emerging issues that you are constantly, struggling, we may be struggling with, or trying to grasp, what is it that we can do that might be a little bit more effective in our work. So for instance, women's and maternal health, you guys are situated over here. One how might we statement that we came up with is how you might improve the quality of preconception care that women experience as part of a preventive health visit. So really thinking about what is it going to take to make that experience a little bit better for them, more centered to their needs and more sensitive to their cultural identification, to where they are right now in understanding what kind of care they need. So thinking about, how might you improve the quality of preconception care in preventive visits? And I know that many of your states have probably chosen the Woman Well visit as a performance measure. So again, you're always thinking, okay, what does that mean? How do we get more women into high quality care? For perinatal and infant health, where are you guys? Raise your hands, okay. So one how might we statement we came up with is how you might help young and or new mothers receive adequate prenatal care. So again, thinking, what is it going to take? What are some ideas around that? For children's health, where are you guys? I see you guys are in the middle. Okay. So we have we have a couple of options. So it could be how we can ensure that children and their families are getting enough physical activity, on a daily basis. Or I know that some of the MCH programs, you're dealing with car seat safety. Like that was one priority that came up in your block grant applications and reports. So again, thinking about how do you ensure that parents and caregivers are more oriented on proper car seat safety. So you have a couple of different statements that you can choose from. Adolescents are in the back. So one of the things, we're dealing a lot with behavioral health and mental health issues for our young people. So there's a couple statements around thinking about those challenges. So how you might offer better access to and services for youth that are feeling depressed or just hopeless. Or how you might integrate mental health services into the existing sources of primary care for youth. So again, thinking about how do you come up with different solutions for those issues. For children and youth with special health care needs, I see you guys up here in the front, how you might help children and youth with special health care needs and their families receive care in a well-functioning system. Or how you might create opportunities to be more engaged in improving comprehensive coordinated systems of care. And then also for, sorry, that last one's for cutting and systems building. But again, how you might better recognize and value parents and youth as experts on either their own children or themselves. So again, really looking at, thinking about the end user experience, we came up with some statements about how do we get to the core issue that's affecting our populations that we work closely with.
Thank you, Ileana. Okay, so as she just described, there are a variety of different how might we statements around the room. And just to reemphasize, because hopefully this is a technique you can actually use on your own and create your own how might we statements in the future. What she has done in creating these is really taking a challenge or an emerging issue and adding that question statement to the beginning, which really opens the door for exploration. It opens the door for exploring solutions in the actual human-centered design process, the activities that you use, guide you through what you need in order to find a solution for that challenge. Okay, so what we're going to do next is there were several groups that have options in their how might we statements. If you can, as a team, come to an agreement about the how might we statement you are going to move forward with, you just pick one. And just for record-keeping purposes, grab one of those bigger sheets of paper off your table and just one person, have a scribe, write that how might we statement on your piece of paper. The final step, this is going to be the next portion of this workshop is going to be a lot of movement where you're going to write at the table and then you're going to go actually to the wall and stick stuff to the wall. So to kind of create your own workspace on the wall, take your handwritten how might we statement, put a piece of tape on it, and walk it over to an area you can use anywhere in the room. I would recommend making it close to your table, but go ahead and stick that statement to the wall, and then we can move on to our next activity, okay? make sure you just choose one that's already been written rather than coming up with your own right now. I don't think we have time for it. Right. So, but there were several that had options, right? Okay. So once you decide, remember, write that on a piece of paper and stick it on the wall. If you don't have a choice, just go with the the one that's already written for you and just rewrite it. You just have about a minute to do this, okay? All right, I got to see some movement. Let's write our how might we statement on a piece of paper and walk it to the wall. We're about ready to move on to our next activity. Yeah, question. Okay, so I'm just going to recapture my directions one more time. Apologies if I have caused any confusion. I really just want you all to create a workspace on the wall for your table. So if you can put your how might we statement on the wall, you'll know where to go as we go through these next activities. If you are the only table with a we have some tables that are like they're multiple, so you have to recreate your own how might we statement. And it doesn't matter. I just want them to like make a wall space, like put a piece of paper on the wall so they know where to go next. So they're moving there. Are they going to? Okay. Know where they're going. I hope they know where they're going. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put a pin in this one and move on to the next activity. Okay, has everybody decided on their how might we statement? Yes, because you either already have one or you had an option. Okay. Have you written your how might we statement on a piece of paper if there's multiple tables with the same category? Awesome. Okay, so then if for those tables at least that have multiple groups, just make sure that you have your own wall space here in a minute so that your groups don't get confused. Okay. Moving on to the next activity then, I'm going to introduce you to not necessarily a new concept, but maybe a new approach for brainstorming. So what we're going to do with the remainder of these activities is explore that how might we statement that you are focused on. So as a group, make sure that everybody's had a chance to really read through that and consider it, because this next activity is going to focus on that particular statement. So what you're going to need, everybody's going to need a good stack of Post-it notes. There's different size Post-it notes on your table already, but make sure you pass those out, and if you need more, we can hand out more of those. All right, so what we're going to do next is a rapid brainstorm activity. This will be timed. And there's a few things to keep in mind as you go through this brainstorm experience. First, I really want you to focus on rapid idea generation, quantity, okay? There's not a right or a wrong idea. I do really want you to consider big, bold, and creative, trying to do things differently than what might already be out there as a potential answer. So think big and bold, and don't be afraid to write down crazy ideas, okay? If it helps to pretend that you're somebody else, sometimes we do this alternative universe experience where you pretend like you work for Disney or you pretend that you work for Google, something that helps you not feel restricted by your current role and your current exposure to the work that's going on. This experience is really designed to help you move beyond that and think about new approaches. I'll address it. What you're going to do now, I'm going to use a timer, grab a pen and your stack of Post-it notes, and when I tell you go, I want you to start writing ideas to address that how might we statement that your team has selected. You can go over to it? No, don't go over to it. You're working at your table. Oh, that's why I wanted them to write it on a piece of paper. If you can't see it, absolutely, you can get up and go to your wall, whatever's going to work better for you, wherever you can write.
Any questions?
Okay, let's go for it. So we're going to have 2 minutes on the clock for you all to write down as many ideas. One idea per Post-it note, okay? And then just keep going through them. Go.
And just for some insight, consider the current experiences of the end user of your population, and also think of ideas to reflect a diverse set of perspectives. And it's okay if some of these perspectives conflict with one another. We want to hear those challenges.
All right. So from each table, can you share who had the most number of Post-it notes?
I had 6.
6, okay. 33. As a table, how many, tell me who had the most number for a person? Okay. 8. Okay. Is 9 our largest number?
Anyone more than 9?
I'm giving you a packet of coffee. It smells amazing. Okay, so fantastic job, everybody. So what we're going to do next is actually take your ideas and stick them on the wall. Now, remember what I said earlier about each of you, like as a table, you need to create your own workspace so that people don't get confused between them, okay? But I want all of your ideas to go up onto the wall. You can just stick them all very close to each other. And y'all don't have to put them up nice and pretty, just stick them up there. We're actually going to move on to another activity that gets rid of a bunch of them here in a minute. So just so y'all know, for reference, if you were to use this activity in practice, we would have a goal of producing a lot of ideas. Maybe, for instance, each person would write 40 or so, and then you would be able to go through a weeding out process just as an individual to think back. Okay, well that wasn't that great of an idea. Let me get rid of 50% of them or something like that. The rest of this group I want to present share with my team for consideration. So if we had more time and more Post-it notes, we would be able to go through that experience of getting rid of ideas that we've come up with. But now we're going to actually take a similar approach as a group. The next activity is called Visualize the Vote. Move on to this next one. What you are going to do as a team is actually move back to the wall and have an opportunity to look at the ideas that have been written down. And everybody at the table needs to grab a different color marker. Okay? And this is going to allow you to select what ideas you want to move forward with for our for our next activity, okay? Before you move, let me share one more thing, okay? Remember, as you're voting, your how might we statement. You are selecting the ideas that you feel like best provide a solution to that how might we statement that you're working on. Does that make sense? Okay, so each person's gonna get, let's start with 3 votes. So put your dot on 3 Post-it notes. This is an individual thing. Everybody moves there. It's gonna be a whole bunch of people reaching over each other. And then I'm gonna give you just about 2 or 3 minutes to do that, so read them quickly. Again, remember, this is just an activity. It's not the real deal. We're not actually able to solve this how might we statement right now, but remember, each person gets to place their vote on sticky notes. Individually. Yeah, each person's voting. No, let's not make this like this isn't us working together right now. You're just actually reading them and voting. Okay, so it looks like most folks have had an opportunity to place their votes. There is the next step for you all as a team. Our next step is taking the top 12 ranking ideas. Okay, so look at your board and select the 12 Post-it notes that have the most votes. Pull those off your board and bring them back to your table. And for reference, if you're actually using this visualize the vote activity in practice for real, this provides an awesome opportunity for group discussion. So you really have to work as a team to make decisions about what to move forward with. And that can be a hard process, but visualizing the vote is a way for independent reflection and then group discussion. It's really a cool technique. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do, it looks like everybody's back at their table now, is move on to my favorite, possibly my favorite, I think I'm comfortable saying favorite, activity. I refer to it as the importance difficulty matrix. This is an activity that is from the Luma Institute, which Nicole referenced earlier, is just one of the many human-centered design resources that are available. But this is an awesome way to think through the ideas that are being considered for your program or whatever it is that you're actually attempting to solve and come up with a solution for. So we're going to be distributing a large piece of paper. You need some tape? Okay. We're going to be putting that along the wall for everybody. So what you actually are going to see on display here, it just looks like a simple X and Y axis. And when you get closer, we're going to actually ask everybody to move back to the wall here in just a minute. But when you get closer to it, you will notice that the actual x-axis is labeled as importance or impact. I think in this case we have impact. It really is just helping you think through that particular idea. And then the y-axis along the side there is focused on difficulty. You can also use cost or required resources, something that you're thinking about how difficult it is to actually accomplish for the idea that's been proposed. So there's a few different steps to this process, and I'm going to kind of guide you through each of them. We'll start with like step number 1, and then I'll tell you when it's time to move on to the next. Before we go to the actual activity, Ileana, was there anything you wanted to share for application?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the impact axis, think about some of those ideas, whether they're jotted down or you're now starting to think about that are going to be related to those priorities in your specific MCH domain. And then when you think about like either difficulty or cost or resources, again, think about resources you already have in place, your partnerships, your current personnel, and then also think about time, because time is a required resource and could either aid or enable a lot more difficulty in getting to that how might we statement. So just take into consideration like the sphere in which you currently work in MCH.
All right, so before we move to the wall, it looks like you all have your ideas spread out on the table. I want to use the next 4 minutes for you all to actually discuss the ideas that are there. This is going to be important as you move to the wall to consider the impact and difficulty, okay? So don't spend too long on each, but make sure that you're all familiar with the ideas that you have to work with, okay? If you all are ready to move to ranking, you can. Yeah, what we're gonna do, what we're gonna do first is actually focus on the x-axis. Okay, all of your Post-it notes are gonna be even with each other along the line. Actually, hold on. I'm just gonna go ahead and switch to this next slide, just so you can see it. Okay. Microphone right here. Oh, thank you. Okay, so ignore where these Post-it notes are and the wording in there. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I just want a visual for you all to see what you're working with. Right now, all of you on the wall have just this X and Y axis. I want you to take your Post-it notes with you back to the wall and plot them directly underneath that X-axis. Underneath, okay? And in order of importance. So thinking about your X and Y axis, those that are of least importance or impact will go towards this end, and they move forward as you think that they're going to be even more impactful, okay? Don't overthink this for the sake of time, but consider what you've just discussed and do your best to go ahead and rank those in order, okay? So ask you to go ahead and take those ideas and move to your board or your poster on the wall. They have questions. Remember to put your ideas below your x-axis. Oh, I know they're gonna, and it's totally fine if if it goes way beyond your actual paper because the paper is small and you have a lot of Post-it notes. Just think in a straight line. And I'm going to challenge you guys to not double stack. It's going to be tempting to think that some things are of equal impact, but I'm going to force you to make that decision and rank one before the other. Remember to don't double stack, you guys, or triple stack. The purpose of this activity is to force y'all to be comfortable with prioritizing. Don't double, triple stack. Make decisions. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next phase of this activity. Okay, so if I can get your attention back up here to the board or to the slide. Our y-axis, of course, is the one that's running straight up. This one is going to be titled difficulty. Now you have this line of ideas that you've ranked in order of importance. The next task is for you to consider how difficult is it for you to actually achieve what is written down there, okay? Some of them might be super easy. So in that case, they would go way down here. Some of them might be crazy difficult to achieve. They either cost way too much, require way too many resources, something along those lines. As that increases, that idea moves up. Now, here's the thing I want you to all listen to. Your Post-it notes that are currently here need to stay in that area. They are only going to move up, okay? That's why I was trying to stress don't double, triple, quadruple stack because they might have different difficulty levels, okay? So go ahead and do that next phase. It's okay if you think that things are similar in difficulty level. Just really make your best decision on that. All right, everybody. I need you to go ahead and wrap up that selection. And then I'm going to ask that one person from each table grab a marker and take it back to your board. Grab an actual marker and take it to your paper. Oh, and make sure it's a Sharpie marker, sorry, just so we don't actually transfer marker onto the wall. Sharpies work with Post-it products, just so you know they don't bleed through the paper. I sure hope not, because then we're going to mark on the wall. Yeah, grab a marker, a Sharpie marker, take it to your poster. Everybody got that? Everybody finish your difficulty ranking. Okay, so now it's going to get to the part where all of this hopefully clicks for you all. First, what I want you to do is just draw. You can use this as an example, a dotted line straight down the middle and then straight across. So you have 4 equal quadrants. Okay. Good. Okay, so it looks like everybody's gotten that. All right, this is the time where we really reflect on what this activity is beneficial for. You can use this for a variety of different things that you're working on, not just a how might we statement. This is an opportunity for you all to really figure out and make decisions on how to move forward. So we've just drawn 4 quadrants, and I want to introduce you to these 4 different quadrants. So the first in this, geez, I keep tripping over that. The first here in this bottom quadrant where the X and Y axis come together is going to be your targeted area. And this is something, consider where it ranks on the actual XY axis. It shows that it's low importance or low impact, but it's also not very difficult to achieve, okay? So as you make decisions about whether or not you want to move forward with an activity that might be in that area, you really want to consider, while we can achieve it easily, does it actually create much impact for our overall problem that we're trying to solve. The area right above, this area up here, we call it luxuries because it's really costly and doesn't achieve a whole lot, okay? So that definitely can open your eyes to, if you have ideas that are in that area, to really question if that's something that you want to move forward with, because you know that there's very little impact, but you're going to be spending a lot of your resources or a lot of time, whatever your difficulty is defined as, okay? Definitely one of your areas that need deep consideration. Okay, so this bottom area over here we call high value because they require few resources or are not very difficult to achieve, but they have a high impact. So that really is an area that should stand out to you as ideas to consider, okay? And then lastly, we have strategic in the top corner. And that is going to be an area that you know has high impact, but it's also going to take some work to achieve. So again, there's not a right or a wrong in being able to cancel out actual ideas that fall into different areas. This is really just an opportunity for you all to take a step back from what you've just proposed and consider what that's going to really require of your team, but also the potential impact. So it's a great decision-making tool. We've used this even for something as simple as like a work plan in thinking through how our project team wants to advance rather than actual program development activities. So a really, really helpful tool. So I'm just curious if anybody has any feedback that they want to share really quickly about the importance difficulty matrix. Do y'all have any questions about how you might be able to use it? Because you can easily draw this on your own, right? Is it something that you all liked? Right? Okay. Nicole mentioned earlier that to not feel too prescripted to one particular approach. What we really want to do through this like snapshot exposures, just to start an introduction to human-centered design, so that you feel more comfortable in exploring some of these activities. Next, we're going to actually tell you about a few resources. We hope that you are able to take the step and explore those. Luma Institute, which this picture is from, they actually have each of their methods available online, and they even have what they call recipes, like suggestions for being able to combine, for instance, what we just did, brainstorming, visualizing the vote, and then the importance difficulty matrix, just as ideas to help you work through a particular challenge or emerging issue, as you all have just been focused on. So I know we didn't solve any huge problems today, but I hope that what you were able to learn from each other might have sparked ideas that you can move forward with. I encourage you to take pictures of the posters that you have on the wall. Actual Post-it has an app where you can take a picture and then you can move those Post-its around within the app. So for documentation purposes, if you all start to use this technique in meetings and planning, it's actually something that you can keep for record keeping and build on top of that. So any more questions for me before we move on to resources? Sorry, I know we're definitely pressed on time here, but okay, cool. Good. Okay, do you want me to do resources? You're going to do resources? Okay. Okay, so then sorry, did you have a question? No, okay. The next slide here is actually just a brief list of resources. So take a snapshot of it, and definitely head to check out some of these resources. The variety of organizations on here should hopefully emphasize to you that there, again, is not necessarily one approach. There are a variety of different ways to apply human-centered design. And you might, by exploring this, find one that works best for you, or create a combination based on the different organizations. There also is a resource on your table. There should only be one or two right now from our project team, just design, human-centered design resources or design thinking resources that we find helpful. I can definitely send that out. It's in the app. Oh, the AMCHP app.
Yeah, if you go into the AMCHP app for this session, the resource list is in there with our previous version of our slides. But we can send out, if you all signed in, the current version of our slides and the resource list again.
Very cool. And not just trying to single any of them out. I'm just most familiar personally with Luma. Just the examples that I gave you earlier. I also wanted to mention that that they have. You can sign up for a 30-day free trial if you're just wanting to go in there, and you can even download templates. There's videos for each of them to show you what it looks like. So these organizations have really tried to do a good job of making it something that's easy for you all to apply and use in your own work. Any questions about resources? Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Jen and Ileana, for facilitating that exercise. It really is so useful, and I can't wait to sort of mill around and see all these different matrices. We have a lot of knowledge here and a lot of cool ideas to look into and problems to solve. we would like you all to just do some reflection here. So again, the back of that packet might be getting really full, so if you need another piece of paper, feel free to grab one on the table. So take a moment to write down something you felt, something you learned, and something you plan to do as a result of these past 3 hours, just individually. And then turn to a partner or two people and just share one or two of those things with your partner, okay? Ready, go. All right. And go ahead, wrap up those convos. Would anyone like to share with the larger group? Anyone want to share something they learned, felt, or that they plan to do? With everyone. Come on. Let's get one person. All right. Thank you, Cynthia.
We were both kind of talking about the same. Dara works with her preconception coin, and I work with maternal mortality review committees, and we both thought that this was a rapid way to prioritize, maybe not as rapid as we did here, both for recommending, for developing our recommendations, in our respective groups.
So a way of prioritizing. Okay, great. And this think, pair, share is also a nice activity to do as well when you're working with groups, thinking and then pairing and then sharing at large. And then take a moment to return to what you wrote about HCD at the beginning, at the very beginning, and on the back of the packet. And hopefully you're able to add to that now, thinking about the processes, the mindsets, some of the activities that we did today. Again, Jen and I both have copies of the Innovating for People handbook from Luma. You're welcome to come and take a look at that, and of course, peruse the room. So we thank you so much for sticking with us these 3 hours with each other, really moving fast, getting uncomfortable, hopefully learning a bunch of things to jump off into your own work. And we're happy to take specific questions that folks have about HCD in general in the remaining couple minutes. So first off, let's give a round of applause to facilitators and one to you all who did a ton of work. Amazing. And any questions? Oh, yes. Next one. Yep. That's an easy one. Contact information being in the slides. Other questions? We did get a question about if gift giving, if there could be a different design challenge, because that can kind of be hard. And I absolutely agree. This is the one I'm most familiar with, that we are familiar with, where you are users, right? And it's sort of neutral, but it would be great to do something else. There's a wallet exercise one as well. There's a wallet and a gift giving from the D School. So there are sort of two options there, but the other simulations I know are a bit more involved and elaborate. But I would love to know of others. I just don't know. But and I think it'd be wonderful to design another one. We got that question. Other questions? Okay, well, we'll be here. Thank you all so much, and have a great rest of the conference and your Saturday.